Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to a casted game between two of the best players in the world, Happy versus FoCuS. I think this is from the recent tournament in Dortmund, Germany. The Being Esports Back to Warcraft tournament with FoCuS and Happy in attendance there. I do believe they played each other. The reason I'm following this is because this is a highly recommended top replay between two of the top players in the world, Orc versus Undead, Happy and FoCuS. It's on Twisted Meadows, which is a super fun map to watch. And things are already heating up as FoCuS does the Rock Golem abduction technique, but this is blocked by Happy's Acolyte Scout. Twisted Meadows is a forced cross-map position, so Happy knew that he could straight away send Acolyte across the map and body block that little tunnel that is used to abduct the Rock Golem. This is a powerful starting creep route for Orc because they immediately get level 1.6 and a high level permanent items such as Boots of Quel'Thalas plus 6 agility, Rope of the Magi plus 6 intelligence, etc. So here you see the abduction. The burrow can help with damaging the Rock Golem. And in fact there's a little trick that if you move your grunt iotas left and right, he won't even hit you. As you see now, the grunt's a little hurt. You can creep this even better, but even like this, it's good enough and efficient enough. So he finds a Ring of the Archmagi, which is a new item since about a year ago, which gives +3, +3, +3, and is basically therefore 50% better than a circlet. In terms of level expression, the way that a hero scales with bonus attribute points when they level up, the Ring of the Archmagi is kind of like 1.5 levels of hero strength. So it's a strong boost to get. He gets another circlet, which gives him 555, which is equal to the Crown of Kings, like tier 6 permanent item with those two. So Blade's already a lot stronger. Happy went to creep 2 small camps that drop the Ring of Superiority and the Cloak of Shadows. He went to go buy a circlet, but found it no longer in supply as FoCuS had already bought it. So why are we watching this game, besides the fact that they're both really, really good? I'm looking to get meta updates. And while FoCuS has never been the best Orc in the world, solidly always top 4, he's always been the best to see the current meta, as what he lacks in versatility in playstyle, he makes up for in the strength of his execution. And he's someone that will work on what he believes is the best build over and over and over, just do good micro, good macro, good scouting, good creep routes, etc. So you won't find usually someone more standard than FoCuS, and therefore he's great to learn from, since you can see many games of the same style, and that makes him very good to copy from. I would recommend watching him to learn meta builds more than someone like me, even in my heyday, or Lin or something. They're gonna go for the Rock Golem. The skeleton actually steals the Rock Golem. So that's a massive thievery of XP. I think it gives like 85 XP. So all the work done by FoCuS. He greedily did not use Windwalk to last hit that Rock Golem. Left it at a sliver of health. And Skeleton with his 12 to 14 damage actually stole it. Typical Happy's precision, but also a little sloppy by FoCuS. And a massive power transference to Happy. So that's actually a good thing for me. I am an Orc player, primarily. Right? I play other races for fun and variety, but I'm mostly an Orc. And that means that I generally support the Orc. I remember in the past sometimes it was different. I wanted the Orcs to lose so that Orcs could get buffed. Or I wanted the Orcs to lose so that I was the best Orc, you know? But these are like very egotistical thinking. Now I am more empathic with the plight of the Orcs, so now I just want the Orcs to win. And I want to learn from it, and then I want to do better, and so on. We all succeed together. We all succeed together. So, yeah, the reason that this is good when things do not go well for the Orc, when I'm watching a replay to learn the meta and to learn how to play, you know, Orc and to pick up tricks, is the worse it goes the early game, the more value it would have if Orc ends up winning. It's kind of like a Rocky Balboa and Ichigo story, you know. First you get beaten down and battered, but did you sit down and cry? Did you give up and give up all hope? No. You persevered. You kept trying, right? You keep going. You turn on your Shikai and your Bankai, and then bam, you kick Saraki Kenpachi's ass after crying about it, because he did cry actually. But after the crying, then comes the ownage. So now we see a little bit of creeping. I always called this the cheese off the bread. I know that's a very Dutch metaphor, as we do like to lunch and breakfast a slice of cheese on bread. So the cheese is the best part, in case you don't know. Bread can also be really nice, especially Dutch bread. Oh my god, yeah, definitely the best bread in the world. Don't come after me, Poland, America, Korea, and the Czech Republic. Dutch bread, best bread in the world. Don't come after, don't at me, alright? But still, Dutch cheese, even better, the bestest in the world. So if you eat the cheese off the bread, it's like taking the cherry off the cake, right? To put it in American terms. So going only for like the big creep that has the big item, then that's like taking the cheese off the bread, and then you leave the crust. It's like, you know, eating the pizza but leaving all the crust, because I'm watching my carbs. Some people will come and eat those carbs if they're... I usually eat people's bread crust if they leave it. So maybe if I was happy, I would go to the shop and I'll be like, hey, there's no cheese. It's okay, I like bread. Right? So I just take the level 3333 creeps and be like, yeah, there's no Troll Warlord 6, but it's still food, you know? Free food. I love free food. But in this case, we don't know if Happy's gonna do that, whether he likes pizza crust, and FoCuS takes the cheese off the bread in various camps and then leaves. So his build is going to be Mass Windriders. Now, Windriders has often been an iconic response against ghoul openers and persistent ghoul strategies. As, you know, ghouls, just like dogs, can't look up. I believe that once, I read that once. Dogs can't look up. Not true. Was with my dog in the garden. And we had this, I installed this birdhouse, which attracts a certain bird. I believe it's called the blue tit. Don't start titillating now just because I use that word. It has a non-sexual meaning. The blue tit. And this bird is important for the garden because they eat processionary oak caterpillars, which is a very long word for a stupid grub, not me, that lives on oak trees and has 7 cycles of shedding. And from the 4th shedding onwards, they drop hairs that can greatly irritate human feelings.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I don't mean like emotional feelings. It irritates the skin. You can get health problems with it depending on your sensitivity to it. Anyway, the oak caterpillar, in the words of Tenacious D, totally sucks, you mother trucker. And so you make houses that blue tits like to live in at the right height, about 2 meters off the ground. That's 6 feet for, you know, the American brothers and sisters watching. And so, oh yeah, why was that? The dog, yes. So Logan, my dog, this guy, he was standing underneath the tree. Well, standing, he was planted on 4 feet, right? Not 4 feet high, on his 4 paws. Which is 1.20 meters for our European brothers and sisters. So anyway, he looked up at the birdhouse, and until then I was not sure whether it was working. And then I realized that he sensed life inside, which later, when I made it clean for the winter, you know, keep away the birdhouse and clean out the remains, I realized that it has indeed been taken up residence by a blue tit couple. They had some eggs, and the birds left the nest and probably lived long and happily ever after, eating lots of processionary oak caterpillars. So dogs do look up,
your stream and positive vibes.
but ghouls do not. And therefore we go wyverns, which was a really important segue to make to understand why wyverns are good against ghouls. So why are Windriders not seen all the time? And why did we still make sometimes Headhunter Raider Kodo, even against ghoul builds? Old habits die hard, but also because Windriders are unpraisingly referred to often as flying XP tomes. They're 4 food, after all. They give 85 experience, the same as another 4 food unit. Let's say Abomination and Wyvern give the same food. Give the same XP, but an Abomination is 1100 HP of chunky, muscular, 3-armed matter. It will take a while. It probably takes like, considering their armor, 1400 effective damage to kill them, not counting coil. And Windriders have light armor. They take bonus damage from piercing and magic, or at least from piercing, and they can be webbed, which means they cannot be freed. They only have 575 health, and they have no baseline armor, so they probably only take 500 effective damage, less than half, but they give the same XP. So they're a very glass cannon, risky unit to make and to mass, and at present time I do not see how FoCuS has a chance to hold against this push cast efficiently. But he did do one cool thing, which sadly is very Twisted Meadows specific, which is going to the island with the Zeppelin, creeping it, and planting down a, albeit slow expansion, as he didn't have the money or the ability to get a tiny Great Hole on planet there. And he's now sending peons to the island already, which looks like a mistake because one, the Great Hole isn't finished, and two, death. Lots of death that way. There's a Coil Nova on the Wind Rider, nearly killed it right then and there. And he took down the Gargoyle with Envenom Spear since then. DK's got to throw another coil. That Wyvern does not go down either. As FoCuS has a lot of cool units here. He's got a lot of cool items. Sobi Mask, True Shot, picking up some clarities. It's usually during moments like these, where the shop is exposed and in front, that I think orcs should come up with an alternative building location, you know, infrastructure planning. The Voodoo Lounge is always in front in order to create good rhythm for your early and mid game. By not having to go all the way to the back of your own base in order to pick up Heal Solve and Speed Scroll, you save valuable seconds that makes you have better timings in your creeping, etc. But once we get to about the 9 to 14 minute mark, when many races often attack the orc, the Voodoo Lounge feels you know, awkwardly exposed, like yourself in a nightmare where you have to give a presentation in front of people and you're not wearing any clothes. That nightmare, that's the Voodoo Lounge there, standing there in all its glory in the front, naked to attacks. So that's awkward. But it looks like FoCuS survived for now. Enough ghouls have been killed. Note that FoCuS never went for the quote-unquote noob hero focus, where he tries to like take down the DK with some Wind Rider and Venom Spear Hex Nuke. Never tried to get the Lich, trying to get it before the coil would fly in, invariably. He didn't go for the statues, where the Envenomed Spears wouldn't have any effect, as Happy is eating FoCuS's pizza crust. Getting little bits of XP and some skeletons, which can be used to scout and increase his creeping speed. FoCuS, all he did was take down the Gargs that were in his face and to take down the ghouls, which still offer a lot of bonus damage to the army, even though they personally cannot directly attack up. Working away at killing those ghouls is an important part of reducing the DPS that the Undead army has, even against, of course, the Blade and Shadow itself, which will always be ground bound. You can try to make a full air army, but there will never be a lack of value for some ground units that can only attack ground because heroes exist. And the Blade Shadow want to stay safe. No third hero for FoCuS just yet, no Tauren Chieftain. The thing you need to remember about Wind Riders, they're one of the most unique units in the game. Firstly, they're the most disappointing unit. Right? They're the unit that you put more faith in than anything, and they always tend to disappoint in an actual fight. They're like a hit and run unit that can be locked down by a web and therefore cannot run. They're a glass cannon that struggles in a straight up enduring sustained fight. But the thing about them is it's very often a question of, do you have enough wyverns to win a crucial fight? And what usually happens is if you make the third hero, the Tauren Chieftain, oh, I love those frost armors on the Gargs. It means they actually survive a Bat Rider explosion. Happy Gigabrain. If you make a Tauren Chieftain, that's going to cost you 1.25 Wind Riders, and you may not have enough critical mass. It doesn't offer enough in the anti-air battle, the TC. By comparison, what you usually more often see in a versus air or as air battle is an Alchemist third. In fact, I didn't know that Happy plays Dark Ranger third against this build. I've seen him do Alchemist third a lot. Another Coil Nova kill on the Bat Rider. It always surprises me how much Happy is willing to invest in a single kill with Coil Nova, because he uses that coil, but now no longer has mana on the Death Knight. And he doesn't have a mana potion either. So it is a very short-term, you know, short-term thing that he does, where he's willing to invest in a single kill on a Bat Rider. And I guess it makes sense. The earlier you kill something, the more it cannot be used against you for any enduring amount of time. And yeah, apparently he thinks that's worth it. He's going to use Statue to get bonus health and mana. So there is still that very crucial potion of restoration on the blade that FoCuS is very intent on not using. FoCuS has an expansion, but he lost so much peons in the 13-minute attack that that expansion is giving him gold, yes, but he now doesn't have the lumber to do things. He cannot make a new bestiary, right? He doesn't have even wood to start a voodoo lounge again, and he's been making new peons steadily, but they haven't been mining enough for long enough to give him the wood that he needs right now. He's lucky that he can even, at this time, make any Wind Riders at all. And it looks like he actually has a shop on his island. That's what I think he's doing, because he's sending his Blade Master there. And what's he gonna get with that? A mana potion? Lightning Orb? Oh, there we go. He finally picks up a Lightning Orb, which he considers very important, and I would be inclined to agree with him, as the Lightning Orb is going to be able to do lockdown. I'm not sure the exact percentage of chance of getting a Lightning Orb proc. I previously said it's 15%, but that's the critical strike chance. I believe chat corrected me and said it's 25%. Which, of course, as an Orc Samurai, I knew these things once, but there have been patches. Blizzard just keeps hyper-updating the game so many times, it's hard to keep track of the exact state of the game. And that's going to allow him to, you know, lock down destroyers. We see now a focus by the Blade on the Lich a little bit. Then he switched to the Gargoyle. Wind Riders are dying. He's not killing all that much air yet. He did attach some poison on some of those destroyers, and that's going to be nice. Ideally, in theory, you would attack different destroyers with Wind Riders alternatingly in order to get all of them poisoned and wear them down, and then it's going to be harder for the undead to respond, to do a Death Coil on the right destroyer when suddenly the burst comes in. And there are envenomed destroyers that do drop fairly low, and this is nice. But in the meantime, Wind Riders are dying as well. Best thing for FoCuS right now is that he does have that expansion, but he's got to be careful with his Blade. His Blade is dropping fairly low. Of course, Blade does have Invul Potion, does have Ruined Bracers, so you see Happy entirely focusing the air. He even has that Orb of Darkness on the Death Knight, so that he can attack air with that as well. Happy finally going for a counter expansion in the top right on the mainland. Mainland expansions on Twisted have more gold inside of them. So while FoCuS has this relatively difficult to assail expansion, it only has 10,000 gold inside of it. So it's probably going to run empty at, like, I don't know, the 27-minute mark, 28, 30. Definitely earlier than Happy's expansion. So Wyverns are slowly winning out against the numbers of destroyers, probably because they were sponsored by greater amounts of gold. But who will win the hero battle once all is said and done? There's another very important healing wave. Sobi Mask coming in super clutch here. Interesting that the Shadow even has something like Talisman of Evasion, which you normally consider more useful for a melee hero, but FoCuS has the Ruined Bracers there to really keep the Blade Master safe. Now, is there finally enough lumber to start a second bestiary on the island? He's using a lot of peons now, not for lumber mining anymore, but for repairing the bestiary. This is a very tight attack here by Happy. He's going to go for the Coil Nova on the Blade, and the cool thing about it, that Blade would have been dead if not for the Ruined Bracers. I'm assuming that Happy clicks enemy items, so he was aware of it. But the instinct of how much more punishment the Blade can survive until, like, fatally nuking him with a Coil Nova may still be active from his usual muscle memory. Sans minus the Ruined Bracers. TC finally comes in, does get blocked out by the Shadow Hunter a bit. Blade has no healing pot right now, gets the tertiary bounce of the healing wave, so not the full brunt that went to the Shadow Hunter. There's a War Stamp on the DK. He's gonna try to maybe do a FoCuS. There could be a Death Pact actually. No, he picked Death Coil. I was thinking he's gonna try to focus the Death Knight, but he doesn't have Hex mana on the Shadow anymore. Blade still has loads of mana. He's gonna TP out maybe to the island to get some Voodoo Lounge items and then ferry his way back to the mainland with Zeppelin. Does he have a Voodoo here? Yeah. So the main just ran out for both players. One bestiary of you know, one bestiary of Wyvern production right now. I don't think he ever remade the second beastie unless I'm blind and the observer didn't show it, right? He brings his Zeppelin back in. At this point, the best thing FoCuS could want to do is to go to the bottom left island, fly there and start a new expansion. Bring 4 peons immediately so that he doesn't have to make a second trip. And I think he's gonna go there, right? Wouldn't he? Bring 4 peons? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, 5, of course, not 4. There we go. So that's the best play for FoCuS. Happy is gonna also start a new base, again on the mainland. Among Twitch chat and fans, island expansions often have held this illustrious allure. People are always excited about taking island expansions. Somehow they feel better, stronger or whatever, but technically they're not, you know. The reason that island expansions can be good is because they're hard to attack, but they're also hard to take. When I say hard, I mostly mean slow, tedious to take. It's a longer trip there, you gotta use Zeppelin, you're off the map for longer, you're ceding the mainland map control for longer, and finally they don't last as long as mainland expansions. So while sometimes players can worry about letting opponents' islands expand, usually the best way to counter it is just to do what Happy's doing, is to take the equal amount of expansions on the mainland, which are worth more and are quicker to get, so they start working earlier, and just knowing that you're going to outlast the opponent. The main thing that that island expansions do give is that flexibility of defense. Like, you cannot have an opponent harass with 2 ghouls. But what they can do is to drop a shredder or 2 ghouls from the laboratory. And then once that happens, although it was a higher hurdle for the opponent to attack you on the island, it is now also a higher hurdle for you to defend the island. Making a 1 watchtower defense on the island a really big investment. But it is exactly that kind of safety investment that seems to make a lot of sense so that you don't have to go there. Oh, there we go! 2 ghoul. Did not pre-watch, by the way. I swear. I did not pre-watch, but there we go. The 2 ghoul Zeppelin. But you can TP to island and they can't. Yeah, you can TP, but then you're stuck on the island. You better make sure that you have a Zeppelin with you, because if you don't, then you're stuck. So the 1 tower defense on the island prevents this kind of shenanigans. But it is that kind of defense that people often skimp on because they're already using the feeling that they are safer and harder to attack. It's that tediousness of the opponent having to orchestrate a harass on it that often makes you feel like you're inoculated against harass at all, like in general. So then you don't even make the tower. Had he had 1 tower there, FoCuS would still be mining right now from this base. Instead, he loses 5-6 peons for free and loses out on economic advantage. Because he's got the expansion bottom left, Happy's got the expansion bottom right. They're back to equal. Had there been 1 tower, those 2 ghouls would have gone there, seen it, died to it, or pulled back, and then Happy would have to do an additional investment, which would be either sending his destroyers over so that 5 destroyers and 2 ghouls can attack the tower together. That would take like 20, 30, 40 seconds. Or he would have to drop some of his heroes there, which is a bigger risk and time investment for sure. Now we're getting to a point where there is a bigger army for Happy. He's got more destroyers. He's trying to split his Wind Riders to dodge a full Nova. This was effective. Only half the Wyverns got focused. He's gonna go for a Hex on the DK to try and blow up the Lich. But the Lich had Invul. So all I'm seeing is Wind Riders dying, Destroyers surviving, and he'd be lucky if he gets a single Destroyer. He does not! Oh, okay, he does. He does. So he gets a Destroyer. He lost... I think he started the fight with about 8 Wyverns. He has 4 left. And all he got is a lousy TP out of the Death Knight, a lousy invulnerability potion on the Lich. And there's still an invul on the DK, there's still an invul on the DR. Lich is going to go back for an invul eventually as well. And here you see the value of burrows, or a tower. Can be burrows, can be a tower, right? So you see that value, kept alive his peons against the next double ghoul harass. So we now have a bigger army for Happy, right? But we have a better economy for FoCuS, soon to be restored anyway. He's mining with 2 and it's going back up to 5. As the 2 ghouls bide their time, the best resource Happy can utilize now is those 2 ghouls on the island. They've already been countered, right? But because it's a burrow and not a tower, it relies on reaction speed. So the best thing he can do is to try to use attention deficit. I don't mean, you know, FoCuS has ADD. I mean, he can try to use the fact that FoCuS during a battle is not going to pay attention. So right before the coup de grace, the big fight, Happy can send those ghouls back in again into the expansion. Now, there is one peon that I think FoCuS deliberately left inside the burrow. So then, in that sense, he can not look and he is still safe. But the same isn't true for his top island expansion. No upgrades for either destroyers or wind riders, interestingly. Wind riders, at this point, against such high-level undead heroes, pretty much can get killed by Coil Nova and heroes alone. So it doesn't feel like armor will do that much, as the magic damage channel from spells completely ignores armor. He could, of course, have attack upgrades, but then a large source of the damage from wyverns are the venom. Still, wyverns do benefit a lot from attack upgrades, but any upgrades are also more effective for units that are longer in a fight, not the ones that typically die instantly. And then also Frost Nova slows your attack speed by like 25 or 50%, which means that you're not making use of attack speed as much as you otherwise would like to be doing either. So all in all, upgrades are a luxury. They are useful for Wind Riders. You'd love to have like 1-1, 2-1 or something, but not if you're not maxing out on your current population ceiling yet, and he never has. That's why he's never got them. For Destroyers, Venom bypasses the armor channel as well. So armor didn't feel as useful, and if there had been Moss Bat Riders, it would have been different. Then maybe you'll see more armor upgrades as they work against bats. Attack upgrades on Destroyers, honestly not bad, but Happy feels like he didn't need it as much as maybe taking an extra base. Keep in mind, if you take like 2 upgrades, you could have made an expansion for that, and that has just felt more valuable so that you can secure the future economy of playing the game. Fight breaking out here. We have 2 invulns on FoCuS' side. Goes immediately for the Zeppelin. Blade is level 6. He has not yet picked Bladestorm. Will he, yes or no? Wyverns and Destroyers fighting. Normally, Wyverns have the advantage, I would say, against Destroyers. But the Undead heroes change that equation a lot. I hear a lot of sad Wyvern noises, and I don't hear a lot of happy Egyptian flying phoenix mythical creature destroyer noises. Shadow is the only one... No, TC is the only one without a potion of invulnerability. He's gonna try to do a Hex on the Lich, probably. And then close the gap with TC to get a Warstone. He has to do the coil there on the DK so he doesn't get Coil Nova nuked. However, he does get Coil Nova nuked. Bladestorm is up, but at this point, what can he do? His Wyverns aren't even joining the fight. They feel like such a liability giving XP that he instead sent them to kill Acolytes. And that does mean that FoCuS has mining against no mining, but Happy has heroes against no heroes, and that somehow feels better in Warcraft 3. So I was hoping to see Wind Riders look better than I gave them credit for, but I'm not really seeing it. They feel like weak shit units, if you don't mind my crudeness. Oh, by the way, the overlay broke. There are upgrades. Destroyers have 2 armor upgrades. Ah, the armor overlay actually broke. That's why they're so tanky. So Happy did see there's value in it, did get it. Wind Riders probably are a 0-0, though. Oh, there we go. They also have 1 armor upgrade. That actually makes sense. I would do the same on Wind Riders if I was going to take an upgrade. I mean, I was thinking about it earlier today that armor could be nice, but you know, I'm seeing FoCuS not do any upgrades, or at least I assume so, and I was trying to reason it out. Armor helps a bit against the debuff from Orb of Corruption. But yeah, it doesn't matter at all when they get Coil Nova. It pretty much brings them to almost no life at all. So I'm still not sure. Wind Riders and upgrades, or just Wind Riders and more Wind Riders, or Wind Riders and Bat Riders. It's tough to say, because the bats could like quickly drop destroyer count, even if armor drops their damage. So, can he remake his heroes? Does he have an altar on the island? He's doing some Acolyte harass. You know, it would be wild to me if FoCuS still won this game. He does have eco advantage at this time. It's going to be an immediate Coil Nova, and he does not use the invul. That is interesting. If this was Dota and that was my carry, Juggernaut, I would probably have reported him for griefing. But then again, he probably already thought that it was over and said go end, because, you know, TC, Elder Titan, and Shadow Shaman, Shadow Hunter had already died and fed earlier today. Wow. Incredible game as usual by Happy. A little demoralizing when looking for inspiration on the new build against Undead. Like, oh, Wind Riders, can it actually work? This unit always disappoints me. It's so shit. Yeah, didn't work out this time. And it was partially enabled by even being able to take island expansions, which isn't going to work as well on other maps. There was another build that I want to check out as well, by Lin against Happy. I heard about this build. It was recommended to me. I haven't seen a replay yet. I'm going to find it for the next cast. Basically, it involves some kind of build with a fast expansion into walkers and something else. It sounds wild and impossible to me. But, and I do believe he lost with it. I don't know if he won any games with it. But it's always nice to see a new way to lose as well. I hope you enjoyed this cast. Like, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. And may you zug every day.